Broadcasting live from Jackson and State in Chicago's Loop, it's Radio DePaul Sports and Entertainment.
You're listening to RDSE, where sports and showbiz meet.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond The ScoreBoard, presented by RDSE, and I'm your host, Michael Lyons, and we're getting to the end of the NBA season, which also means we are getting to the end of the first year here at DePaul University and for Radio DePaul Sports and Entertainment. I just want to give big thanks to everybody here in the station. Made it such an amazing atmosphere, got a really good community and a really good family here, and I just appreciate all of them just for allowing me to come in, be myself, and get to work. But, yeah, I mean, conference finals, we have the Western Conference Finals have completed, and OKC is now waiting for either the Indiana Pacers or the New York Knicks. So first off, we're just going to start by talking about the OKC Thunder beating the Minnesota Timberwolves in 5 games. Now, prior to last show, Game 1 and Game 2 had been complete, and OKC was already up 2-0, and I said OKC could win this series in 5, but if it gets to 7, I'm picking Minnesota, and I was correct with OKC being able to take care of business in 5 games. OKC, biggest thing from this series was Game 3, Minnesota came out and absolutely blew the doors off of OKC. 143-101 victory at home in Minnesota, Game 1 in Minnesota. And this game held Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to 14 points on 4 for 13 shooting, whereas Anthony Edwards had 30 points in this game. And, yeah, 30 points. This game looked amazing for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but they just quickly, OKC was so quick to not jump onto anything, not try to change anything too much, and they just bounced back in Game 4 and Game 5, and they took care of business. This OKC Thunder team, even though they're so young, you just can't rattle them. That's one of the biggest things. Having an amazing leader like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has learned from some of the best. First year in the league, he was behind Pat Bev, Avery Bradley, those kind of guys, and Lou Will, and then gets to OKC, and he has to learn underneath Chris Paul. So Shai has had an amazing mentors into this point, and he's continued to show that. And he's waiting to play his first ever finals game next Thursday against either the Pacers or the New York Knicks. But, yeah, I mean, Game 3, amazing game for Minnesota. Just from the jump in this game, the intensity was so much better from Minnesota from Game 1 and Game 2. Ant had 12 in the first 7 minutes on 1 missed shot. And Randall was 2 for 4 to start, already was better than Game 2, which is important because Randall in the second half of Game 1 and all of Game 2 was kind of a no-show. But he turned it up in Game 3. He ended with 24 points on 9 for 15 shooting, and Anthony Edwards ended with 30 points on 12 for 17 shooting. But then again, Julius Randle could not keep that up. There was two games in this series where he didn't even play in the fourth quarter, which, yeah, Randle had an amazing postseason run, and I'm so happy for him to change that narrative around his name of being a playoff faller and a playoff just terrible in the playoffs. But this series against one of the best defenses in the league and OKC, he really went back to his New York Knicks days where he was trying to do everything on the court instead of just letting the game come to him, which I felt like he's done a lot in this postseason run. He allowed the game to come to him. He didn't force any shots, but in this series, OKC taking away a lot of opportunities for the game to come to him. He felt like he had to force it, and from the jump in Game 2, I knew the rest of the series was going to be bad because there was a possession in Game 2 where he tried to shoot a layup, missed it, tried to shoot another layup, missed it again, tried to shoot another layup, missed it again. All of this with 3 people around him. At that point, you just got to kick the ball out. You got to kick the ball out. But that was Julius Randle pretty much this whole series, and it really was detrimental to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it shows why OKC has been so dominant this year, because even after losing a 42-point game, they come back out, and then in Game 4 and Game 5, they win by 2, and then they win by 30. Like, in Game 4 was really the biggest game of the series, in my opinion. A 2-point victory for the OKC Thunder. But in this game, Anthony Edwards was like AWOL in the third and fourth quarter. Anthony Edwards only ended with 13 shot attempts with 16 points. And Julius Randle was 1 for 7 and 5 points. Everybody else for the Minnesota Timberwolves played amazing. Jaden McDaniels had 22. Rudy Gobert had 13. Naz Reid had 11. Dante had 21. Nickeil Alexander had 23. All these guys played exceptional, but they were just missing their star player. And that's not something you would imagine happening with an Anthony Edwards-led team. He was just... Yeah, the OKC Thunder did an amazing job at limiting his touches, really getting guys into his grill like Lou Dort and Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso. They were all up on Anthony Edwards in that second half. But there's no reason why Anthony Edwards should have like 4 or 5 shot attempts to end the game. Like, first half is where he did a lot of his scoring, and then second half he just was kind of nowhere to be found, and it was just it was tough to watch, because like it felt like the Timberwolves weren't trying to get the ball to Anthony Edwards. So at that point, it's like, Chris Finch, like, what are you doing? You have to get somebody out there setting screens for Anthony Edwards off the ball to get him the ball. Like, I'm okay with Anthony Edwards playing off ball a little bit, but when the game is close down the stretch, Anthony Edwards should touch the ball every time the Timberwolves have possession. And down the stretch of this game, in Game 4, he didn't get a lot of touches, and it just continued to let the Thunder stay in the game and then just take over the last second and win the game. I mean, this game, Shai was amazing, had 40 points on 13 for 30 shooting. Not efficient, but, I mean, obviously, when you're the star player, efficiency does go down. I've been a little high on on Shai for, like, I've been a little bit judgmental towards his efficiency, but just watching the way he plays, box score numbers, he might not be shooting the ball well, but he is super efficient with the ball. In this game, he had 10 assists, 5 turnovers, but still nothing to worry about for Shai. And then you got guys like J-Dub had 34 in this game. Chet had 21. It was a perfect game for the Timberwolves and a perfect game to win. It's just Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle could not get going at all to end the game. Like, at the end of the third quarter, Ant had 10 points on 3 for 7 shooting. So he had 6 points in the fourth quarter. But that's just not enough. He had 6 points on 6 shot attempts in the fourth quarter. When this game is close, I want Anthony Edwards touching the ball every single time we have the ball, and I want him 10 to 15 shots in the fourth quarter if this game is close. Now, the good thing with Ant, though, is he can get downhill and he can get guys open, but that is something that was lost with Anthony Edwards not having the ball. In Game 4, Game 3 and Game 4, Minnesota really thrived off of Anthony Edwards driving to the basket and kicking it out to guys like McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dante DiVincenzo, all those guys were thriving off of Anthony Edwards just driving to the basket, kicking out to them, or driving to the basket and going up for it. But when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he can't do that. And the Thunder aren't going to send 4 people at Anthony Edwards when he doesn't have the ball. They're just okay with allowing a Lou Dort, a Cason Wallace, and Alex Caruso to just stay connected with him. And you not setting screens off ball, it doesn't allow him to get open because those guys are premier defenders in the NBA, and they're not going to allow him to just shake off of them. So it was bad coaching down the stretch for Minnesota, in my opinion, and Anthony Edwards not taking the initiative to just be like, I'm going to get the ball no matter what. But, yeah, it was kind of tough to see. But Minnesota, got to give them some sort of props. I mean, they had an amazing postseason run, being the 6th seed, I believe, making it all the way to the conference finals. Anthony Edwards led you for a lot of it. Julius Randle led you for a lot of it. But you're going to have to go in the offseason. You're going to have to make some moves. This might have been Mike Conley's last year, which is sad to see. I'm a Mike Conley fan, Ohio State Hoops fan. I loved watching him with Greg Oden back in the day. And then now, when he got to the NBA with the grit and grind Grizzlies, those were some amazing teams to watch. And now it was sad to see that Mike Conley couldn't get this done. But if I'm going to be honest, he was super solid on the court, but he just wasn't giving them enough to push them over the Thunder. In Game 5, though, got to just highlight this game. 30-point victory for the Thunder. In a closeout game, they had no nerves. For a super young team, having no nerves in a closeout game to go to the NBA Finals is just so telling of how talented they are, not only physically but also mentally, how they don't get flustered, they don't get pushed off their rhythm. Shai, their leader, like I said, Chris Paul leading him. Chris Paul obviously only been to 1 NBA Finals ever, but still, like, he knows the process of dealing with young guys and teaching young guys how to not have those nerves, and it's really showed with Shai and all the young guys. I mean, J-Dub in this closeout game, 19 points, 7 for 14 shooting. Shai, 34 on 14 for 25 shooting. Chet, 22. And I mean, some of the guys off the bench, Isaiah Joe, 11 points. He got a lot of his buckets in garbage time, though. Alex Caruso might have shot 1 for 5 from the field and only had 8 points, but 4 steals and 3 assists. Alex Caruso was just flying around the court, making everything difficult for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And it's just the amount of the energy that comes from guys like Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, and Lou Dort on their defensive plays in OKC. Those fans love those guys. They're fan favorites. And the arena erupts when any crazy defensive play, it doesn't even have to be crazy. It could just literally be a stop where Alex Caruso just stands up Anthony Edwards or stands up Julius Randle and just pokes the ball free. That arena loves the OKC Thunder, and it's amazing to see another small market team going to the NBA Finals in this parity era. It just brings a lot more energy, and the fandom feels a lot more alive when we're not dealing with dynasties. But OKC could for sure be a dynasty for the next 4 or 5 years, with just how young they are, how amazing they are at drafting. I mean, it's just Sam Presti does an amazing job, and I mean, this game was over after the first quarter. I mean, when Minnesota only scores 9 points in the first quarter, you know this game is over with at that point. Like, OKC didn't even play amazing in this game. For a 30-point blowout, they weren't amazing. It wasn't like they're Grizzlies blowout or their Nuggets blowout or even the Timberwolves blowout against them. Like, the Timberwolves looked much more confident on the offensive end, and the offensive end was, like, thriving. OKC kind of struggled a little bit. I mean, that second quarter, they really turned it around. 39 points in the second quarter. But, yeah, Minnesota it was over from the beginning. And I'm happy to see Shai gets another MVP this year, Western Conference MVP. Just the group of guys that is on OKC is just so fun to watch. You can't hate them unless you're one of those guys that is just so, like, stereotypical foul baiter hater. Like, but the thing is, the people that would say that they hate foul baiting and they hate that Shai gets so many fouls, they'll say that Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or James Harden or any of those guys are their favorite player of all time. Like, you just are hating on people at the peak of their career for no reason, to be honest. Like, it's just annoying to see people always with the stigma around foul baiting that, like, I was having this conversation yesterday. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could walk 90% of the NBA down the court and score over them. He doesn't need to foul bait, but it makes his job easier, and it makes the defensive's job easier, and it makes the defense way, like, they have to think a lot more before they are super physical, and he puts a lot of pressure on the referees to make calls. You may not like the calls, but 90% of the time, 85-90% of the time, it is a foul. It's the same thing with Jalen Brunson. I hate when Jalen Brunson foul baits. He's very skilled at it. The only thing with Jalen Brunson that I don't like from the foul baiting standpoint is that he puts himself into positions to get injured. That is one of the only things that I really have a discrepancy for. If you're going to foul bait, go ahead and do it. Like, yeah, it might not be super fun to watch, but if you're going to get 30 points, you're going to get 30 points. And people are still going to watch. People are still going to watch the NBA Finals if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's there, even if he shoots 20 free throws every single game. And then you could say that, oh, Shai doesn't deserve all those fouls that he gets. Who cares? Like, he is putting the pressure on the NBA referees, and he is so skilled at foul baiting that you want to hate on it. James Harden was the same exact way. Like, Harden shoots 12, 11 free throws in his prime a game. Shai is kind of in that same area. Shai, I think, is at 9 or 10. Like, it's just skilled scorers know how to get buckets at the easiest possible way. And the easiest shot in the game, other than a wide-open layup, is a free throw. That's why it's called a free throw. So if you're going to discredit these guys not being amazing scorers because they rely on the free throw line, watch these guys play. I've seen countless times in this NBA postseason where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does a between the legs, walks to the free throw line, and shoots a midi right over Jaden McDaniels, Christian Braun, Aaron Gordon, anybody. You can name literally anybody. He would do it to almost everybody in the NBA. There's a couple guys I don't think he could do it over, but 90% of the league, he's doing that same exact thing. Jalen Brunson could score over 90% of the league. For him, it's a little bit more difficult being a smaller guard. He's really good at making contested mid-range shots, but he's going to foul bait to make his job easier so he doesn't have to extend so much pressure, especially because he's playing 40-plus minutes a game due to Tibbs being a terrible coach, which we'll get into that when we talk about the Knicks series. But, yeah, I mean, it's so, like, one-sided when people are on the side of foul baiting, not on the side of foul baiting. Like, they don't look at the fact that these guys could just walk people to the free throw line. They could hit pull-up middies on anybody in the NBA, but they just want to make their job easier. That's all it is. It's like any sport ever. You want to make it the easiest for you to dominate. Getting to the free throw line is the easiest way to dominate in the NBA. Like, there's people that are dominant players, couldn't make free throws. That's why you don't look at them. Shaq would shoot like 10 plus free throws, would make 4 of them. Free throw is still a skilled position. You have to be able to make the free throws as well, but too much of a tangent on foul baiting in SGA, but SGA, final Western Conference Finals MVP, super happy to see that. Love seeing him and his dad on the court after the game. That was fun to watch when he was like, man, you just won this. Like, when his dad was posing with it, that was super fun to see. Love seeing J-Dub and just all the guys throwing the towels on Mark Daigneault. J-Dub dancing behind Shai during his interview with the Western Conference trophy. It was just super fun to watch. And now they're waiting until Thursday. They'll know who they're playing by Monday, so they're already prepared. They're going to be super prepared coming in. Not to give my finals prediction too early, but I got OKC winning it. I got OKC winning the finals in either 5 or 6 games. But let's talk about the Indiana Pacers New York Knicks series before we get into finals predictions. So we're going to just talk about Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, Game 5 last night, and then what to come in Game 6 and Game 7. And then I'll give my finals prediction after we do a quick little commercial break. But as of last show, the Indiana Pacers were up 1-0, stole that game in New York, and then again stole another game in New York. Game 2, I mean, Indy from the get-go forced a lot of really tough shots. Pascal Siakam had 11 points in the first 5 minutes of this game. Another hot shooting start, which has been the key to Indiana's victories. Like I said, coming into the series, the two outliers for both of these teams is offensive rebounding and for the Knicks and shooting for the Pacers. When the Pacers have won, it's been purely because of shooting throughout the game. For the Knicks, their 2 victories hasn't really been exactly on offensive rebounding. I think the Pacers have really matched them pretty well. But yeah, I think the Knicks, they've been more, I don't even know. Like, I think the Pacers are hurting themselves more than the Knicks are beating them. But quarter 1 of Game 2, Tyrese Haliburton, I'm gonna say this a lot during this segment of just talking about this series, but Tyrese Haliburton, he needs to always be constantly aggressive. Now, this is something that has been with him his whole career, is not being aggressive enough. There is no reason that you should not be able to get around Karl Anthony Towns or Jalen Brunson or pretty much anybody on the court, maybe besides OG and Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges. But Mitchell Robinson, Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, get around them no matter what. Stop settling for threes. Get around them, and you're an amazing playmaker. Kick it out. Now, in this game, it wasn't as bad, but last night, Game 5, Tyrese Haliburton, that might have been the worst. That might be, at this point, if he's going to continue to play like that throughout his career, I don't want him to win. You shouldn't be so reliant on everybody around you to do the job for a lot of games. Like, Game 5, we'll get to Game 5 in a couple minutes, but Game 2, I mean, Mitchell Robinson had 0 boards in the first quarter of this game. At times, he's kind of been limited on the offensive rebounding. Quarter 2, non-JB minutes were really good. The Knicks have been really good without Jalen Brunson on the court this series, partially when it's due to Karl-Anthony Towns taking over games, being really aggressive without Brunson on the court. But then, I mean, you got guys like Miles McBride pushing the tempo, hitting timely shots. Something that I've really not liked to, like, I said I was going to talk about Tom Thibodeau, but Tibbs, man, I just don't like Tibbs. I don't like his rotations. I think the Knicks should definitely, like, I don't think, unless they make the finals, he'll keep his job. And I think he'll still keep his job, but if I'm a New York fan, I don't want to see Tibbs on the sideline next year, to be honest. Like, there is no way that Knicks fans can say that he is a good coach. I just, like, game 1, Knicks just fell apart. But game 2, another game where they were up and the Pacers came back and won it. Tell me why Cam Payne is on the court for the first 4 minutes of the fourth. Pacers go on a run. Media timeout comes. You're sitting there, you're like, oh, JB's coming back in. We're going to close this game out. No, Cam Payne is still in the game. Why is Cam Payne still in the game? When the Pacers are on a run and your best player is on the bench, why is Cam Payne still in the game? He dribbled off his face. And now, Cam Payne's not even in the lineup anymore. Like, Tibbs doesn't make any sense how he could go from having full confidence in a guy like Cam Payne in Game 2 in the fourth quarter to then not having any confidence to play him at all the rest of this series. Landry Shamet, DeLon Wright, who has played 20 seconds before this series, or he didn't play at all before the series, got 20 seconds in Game 2, and now he's just taking Cam Payne's minutes entirely. Landry Shamet hasn't played since the Pistons series. We learned that he couldn't even play in the Pistons series. Now he's on the court. And Shamet has looked all right. DeLon Wright, not great. I saw him get a steal on an inbound pass and then whiff a layup. These guys should not be on the court. If you're going to have confidence in Cam Payne in a Game 2 in the fourth quarter when you're up and the Pacers are on a run and then you have a chance to pull him out of the game and you continue to leave him in the game, why does he just instantly get cut from the lineup? His rotations make absolutely zero sense. He's just hoping and praying that somebody could give him some minutes when Jalen Brunson's got 3 fouls and Cat's got 4 fouls. Tibbs is just, he's not a good coach. Pistons series, Jalen Brunson's on the bench with 1.5 minutes left. Why? Pistons, don't let the ball go out of bounds. There's no stoppage in time for him to come back in the game. You lose that game because of it. But then there will be a game 3 or 4 of the Celtics series where they blew the Celtics out, and you still got your starters in with 8 minutes left. The game is already over. The Celtics already gave up. Why is he on? Like, why is Jalen Brunson, OG, McHale, Cat on the court? But then Cam Payne is in to start the fourth quarter of a game that the Pacers are on a run. It makes zero sense. If I'm a Knicks fan, I want Tibbs gone. I want Mike Malone or Taylor Jenkins to come in, because there should never be a point in an NBA team where players who are playing like really good should have to beg to get off the court. When you're up 40, there should never be a point where Mikal Bridges or Jalen Brunson have to come to you and beg to you to pull them off the court, to play them some less minutes. All it ever does is comes back and bites him. None of this has ever proven to work. Chicago never made it to the finals. Derrick Rose gets injured. Now, it's not entirely off of Tibbs, but you could argue that Tibbs not resting some of his guys led to some injuries. Minnesota, Jimmy Butler didn't want to be there, and they didn't do anything. Derrick Rose, again, had a 50-point game, but outside of that, they never really did anything. Now the Knicks. Now you're in the conference finals, and your injuries are starting to pile up. It's so frustrating to watch because there are guys that don't have jobs in the NBA that would do such a better job, but because Tibbs has this personality, he's not a winning coach. I don't understand why people look at him as a good coach. I just genuinely don't understand. He rarely makes adjustments, and he can't ever trust his bench unit. That should just never be the case in an NBA coach. Even if you have terrible bench play, you still have to have some confidence in those guys and continue that confidence, or nobody's going to play good off the bench. But Game 2, saw the Pacers come back, get another comeback victory. Game 3, saw the Knicks come back 20 and beat them. So, again, they bounce back, another 20-point comeback. I think they have 5 this postseason run, the most in NBA history, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like I saw that on the broadcast. Game 3, it was just a bad shooting night from the Pacers. I mean, started 1 for 7 from the three-point line. That three-point shooting kind of continued. They shot 5 for 25 all night, 34 for 77 from the field. Whereas the Knicks, 11 for 32 from the three-point line, 34 for 78 from the field. Shot 30 free throws this game for the Knicks compared to 33 for the Pacers. This game, Game 3 and Game 4, there was a lot of questionable calls. But, again, Knicks fans, Knicks fans are so annoying because they are so quick to jump on the refs when it's not going their way. Game 4, I believe, or Game 3, there was a third quarter. I think it was Game 3, actually. Third quarter, Pacers got every single call against them. The Knicks were getting every single call. Then the start of the fourth quarter comes, and the Pacers start getting a couple calls their way. And the Knicks fans are just jumping on the refs so quickly. If you're going to jump on the refs, jump on them when it is against both sides or even in your favor. Because at that point, you just look biased when you're saying it's only when the Knicks are getting calls compared to when the Pacers aren't getting calls. It's like a hypocritical kind of thing. But, yeah, I mean, Game 3, just another bad shooting night, or a bad shooting night for Indiana. But Tibbs, this game, he went from Josh Hart in the starting lineup to Mitchell Robinson, which felt like it was a good move. He probably should have. It was a good move. I'm not going to argue with him on that point. But still, 3 offensive rebounds in 29 minutes. It's not an amazing. He's not dominating the offensive rebounding. He did get a couple calls on offensive rebounding, so that is something that you have to look at with Mitchell Robinson, is guys trying to box him out and just following him. But, yeah, this game, DeLon Wright was in, Landry Shamet were in, both played above 10 minutes and only had combined for 5 points. Again, I just don't understand. I just don't think either of them should really be on the court. In a this is where it bites him, is if you're in a win or go home game, you want to lean on your starters, but when you play them 40 minutes a night, they get they get fatigued, and you can't lean on them in a game where you have to play them almost the whole game. So that's where I think it bites Tibbs again, and it's really like rough to watch because I don't think Tibbs will never win a championship. That is entirely what I think. If he continues to coach like how he's coached throughout his career, and at the point he's in, he's not going to change. He's had many of players come to him and beg for him to change his rotations, still doesn't do it. He's very hard-headed and doesn't want to agree with people when he hasn't won anything. It's just, it's tough. And then in Game 3, this really should have been a Pacers victory. Cat and Jalen Brunson had 5 fouls going into the fourth quarter, and still the Knicks pulled it out. So I give the Knicks 100% praise for winning this game. Fourth quarter, Cat had 5 points in the first 2 minutes. And, I mean, Cat in this game was amazing. He had a couple blow-bys, postered Nemhard. This is the game Nesmith went down with an injury. So, but, I mean, Game 4, he looked perfect, to be honest. Hit 2 threes in the first quarter and had a dunk. Nesmith, I don't think that ankle injury is really bothering him too much. But if this series continues to extend, you want to give him a little bit of rest before he has to go out and play Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, so you want to close it out early. But Game 4 was a Pacers victory, 130-121. This just felt like an all-around Pacers game, in my opinion. Tyrese Haliburton, 32 points, 15 assists, 12 rebounds, and 0 turnovers this whole game. Benedict Mathurin off the bench had 20 points. This was the game where the third and fourth quarter flip-flopped from calls from each team. What I was talking about a minute or two ago. This was the game where the third quarter calls were all going in the Knicks' favor. Then the fourth quarter was all going in the Pacers' favor, and the Knicks fans just jumped on it and just continued to whine and cry about the calls when they get a lot of calls their way. They just don't want to admit it. But this game, yeah, like I wrote down, Nesmith's ankle looked perfectly fine. 2 for 2 from 3 to start. Hallie hit his first shot 4 minutes in, which when Hallie is at his best, he's aggressive early. In this game, took him a couple minutes, but then he really got aggressive and really turned it on. And this was an amazing Tyrese Haliburton game. Siakam had 30 in this game. Like I said, Benedict Mathurin had 20. And then for the Knicks, JB had 31. Cat had 24. OG had 22. It was just an all-around Pacers game. They shot 40% from the three-point line, 51% from the field. Again, they forced 17 New York Knicks turnovers, and they beat the Knicks in points in the paint, but offensive rebounding this game should have really propelled the Knicks to get a victory, but it did not. Pacers also put up 43 points in the first quarter of this game. So Hallie had 15 in the first. Siakam had 11. Nesmith had 8. They were 6 for 8 from the three-point line. Then the start of the second quarter came. OG went on a quick little run, and he's done that a lot in this series where when Jalen Brunson and Cat are out and it's just OG in there, he'll go on like a quick little 6-7 point run, little spurt for himself. But then there will be like 30-plus minutes of him just kind of standing in the corner, which it's partially because he's on the court with a guy like Jalen Brunson and Cat, and you're like, he's the third option, fourth option, maybe even if McHale is on. But OG has been really good in this series, I feel like. His numbers aren't like exceptional, but I think when he goes on his little runs, they're at perfect times in the game to either keep it close, like control momentum, carry without Jalen Brunson on the court, which is super good to see. Knicks held it down without JB. They've really done that amazing in this series, like I've been saying. Non-JB minutes, they've been really good. 17 fast break points in the first half for the Pacers, so they were getting out running in this game. Quarter 3, Knicks started out really sloppy and timid to start. 7-0 run early from Indy. Pacers were, again, another thing that I'm going to continue to say, especially about Tyrese Haliburton, but about a couple of the other guys like Nembhard, Siakam. Sometimes they'll settle for threes, and if they're hitting them, and they continue to light up the court. But when they're not hitting them, it really starts to come back at them and bite them when they go on a little run of 4 straight threes and they don't hit anything, and the Knicks are on a 8-0 run. Brings the game back closer. I just think they're at their best when they're attacking the paint and then they're kicking out for wide open threes. Hallie, he shot 5 for 12 in this game from the three-point line, and he did hit some big shots. But there was a lot of shots where he was just standing in front of the guy and just shot it. Karl-Anthony Towns standing in front of him and he just shoots it. But, they won the game, so you can't really harp on it, but it's not really going to work against a team like the OKC Thunder, who if you're gonna beat the Knicks, you have to deal with them next. Hallie had 28 at the end of the fourth. Siakam had 19. So then fourth quarter, Siakam had 11 points. And, Hallie only had 4 in the fourth, but had a bunch of assists. 5 points in the first 2 minutes for Siakam of the fourth quarter. Kind of really just kept it in a reach that wasn't super gettable. Indy was in the bonus with 8 minutes left, and then Indiana started to settle again, but then the Knicks went on a 10-2 run, and then the Pacers came back and just kind of turned off the faucet and just kind of let the game end. But then in Game 5, last night's game, Tyrese Haliburton, I love you. I think you're an amazing player. Tell me why you can go from having 32, 15, and 12 to then only having 8 on 7 shots. You're the superstar of the Indiana Pacers. You're the reason why they're in the conference finals. Why are you only shooting the ball 7 times in a game where it could send you to the NBA Finals, get you some rest? You already know the Thunder are waiting. They're going to have a whole week of rest. A little more than a week. They won their game on Wednesday. You could have had a week of rest. But no, you decide to 7 shots, and you're trying to do too much at the rim. There's some simple layups. You're 6'5", 6'6". Just go up there and put the ball on the rim. You don't even have to dunk it. Just literally get your hand at the rim and just let it drop. Don't try to do all these pulling it down like double clutch layups. There's no reason for it. There's absolutely no reason for it. And your team struggles consistently when you only put up 7 shots and you have like 4 shots going into the fourth quarter. And this game was a winnable game. The Knicks only beat you by 17 points, but this game was winnable. Like, the Knicks didn't play amazing in this game. It's just you weren't aggressive. You had 8 points. You had 6 assists. You had 0 turnovers again, but you had 7 shots. Like, even if you're just going to... You shot the ball twice from the three-point line. Going from a game where you shot 12 shots from the three-point line. I would rather you shoot 12 times from the three-point line and make 2 of them, because at least you're shooting the ball. 7 shots, 2 from the three-point line after a game where you had like close to 30 shots, 12 from the three-point line. There's no reason that should happen. Benedict Mathurin, arguably the best player. He was the best player in this game for the Pacers. This is back-to-back games where he's played really good, And this was a game you could have won. Siakam didn't play good. Nesmith didn't play good. Miles Turner didn't play good. Andrew Nembhard didn't play good. Bench didn't really play good. But this was still a winnable game if you just started to take over. When the Pacers are at their best is when you're attacking, getting 2 feet in the paint, and kicking out for wide open shots. If they're not hitting their shots, they're not hitting their shots. But when you're not aggressive, it doesn't give you any sort of hope. You're just kind of like lollygagging through the game. Jalen Brunson had 32 in this game. Cat had 24. But outside of that, OG had 11. Mikal had 12. Both of them shot 3 for 14 and 6 for 12. Josh Hart had 12 points off the bench. Their bench wasn't good. Game 6, Tyrese Haliburton needs to be aggressive from the jump. If he's aggressive from the jump, this series is over. Because in Indiana, they're going to have a lot of momentum. Even though they haven't been an amazing home team this year, you need to go in, win this game in Game 6, give yourself some rest. You can't give the Knicks any sort of hope. I picked the Pacers before the series to win in 6. But if this goes to 7, I'm picking the Knicks. I don't know. It's just something about the what did Jared Allen say? The lights were too bright. That might be something that Tyrese Haliburton has to deal with, because if he's only going to put up 7 shots in a winner or in a put yourself in the finals game, close this series out game, I don't know what to expect from a Game 7 to advance to the conference finals. So he has to come out, be super aggressive in Game 6. John Haliburton needs to get on him, needs to be in his ear for the next today and tomorrow up until tip-off. He needs to be in his ear. And there was no reason Tyrese Haliburton after Game 5 should have been smiling. That was annoying to see. And he's been really good in this series when he's aggressive. He's been the best player in this series when he's aggressive. But when he's not aggressive, he is kind of like, where's Tyrese Haliburton on the court? Like, this guy is your superstar. He's only got 7 shots, 4 shots going into the fourth quarter. Oh, yeah, we can win this game easily because you know Jalen Brunson is going to get his shots up. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to get his shots up. But Pacers, you just need Tyrese Haliburton to be aggressive. In Game 6, you need Siakam to be aggressive as well, but they're kind of yin and yang. When one's aggressive, the other one's aggressive, and then they're really hard to beat. For the Knicks, JB, Cat, Josh Hart, those guys need to stay out of foul trouble, keep this game in a reasonable reach, and there's a chance you send this to Game 7. And I would love to see it because that would mean we would get more Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, and Chuck. Obviously, if Game 6 is the final game of the series, final broadcast on TNT for the Inside the NBA crew. Sad to see, but they'll be heading over to ESPN next year, so we'll still get them. But TNT, my childhood growing up watching the NBA was all NBA on TNT and Inside the NBA. Ernie, can't wait to watch his biopic whenever it comes out. Shaq, Chuck, love all those guys, Kenny. But sad to see that it might be ending for TNT by Monday. But hopefully we get two more episodes of them. But I picked the Pacers in 6. I have less confidence now picking them. But after the first 4 minutes, I think I'll have a clear answer to who's going to win this game. And it all relies on the shoulders of Tyrese Haliburton. So we'll see. And now we get to the finals prediction. Final 10 minutes of the finals prediction. Now, this is tough because obviously we don't have the other choice, and Game 1 comes before our next episode, but Knicks versus Pacers. I got the Pacers winning in 6. Again, I got them winning tomorrow night in Indiana. and then both teams will have a little bit of rest going into game 1. But Tyrese Haliburton putting up only 7 shots in a closeout game really just, it made me think so much less of Tyrese Haliburton and how he's going to look playing against an OKC Thunder team. Tyrese Haliburton having to play against Alex Caruso, Casey Wallace, Lou Dort, J-Dub even, maybe even Shai. All those guys, I think the Thunder win it in 5. And I want to see basketball continue to go. I've loved watching the postseason this year, but I just think OKC is going to dominate the Pacers. I think the Pacers, their best player will be Siakam because J-Dub, a really good defender, but I don't think he could really, I think he'll slow down Siakam, but I mean, Siakam's going to have to be, he's going to have to put up like 40-point games every night. But yeah, Tyrese, again, he's just going to have to be aggressive from the start, but I'm still picking, if the Pacers win Game 6, go to OKC, I'm picking the OKC in 5 to win. Now, if the Knicks win in 7 over the Pacers, obviously they're going to be a little bit more fatigued. I still am going to pick the Thunder to win the NBA championship this year. They've been so dominant all year long, 68 wins, 14 losses, multiple huge blowouts throughout the postseason. They're definitely going to have another one in the finals. And I think if they play the Knicks, I think the Knicks could get them. It's tough again, though, because Jalen Brunson having to go against 3 physical guards in Casey Wallace, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort. He's not going to have any easy baskets. And it's I could see why people wouldn't want to see OKC versus the Knicks in the finals, because it could be 30-plus free throws from both sides, 20 from Jalen Brunson, 20 from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But I think the Thunder, they're just too dominant. They have too much going for them. They have nothing to lose. They literally have nothing to lose. And I just think if they play the Knicks, I got the Knicks losing in 6. I think they'll give you 2 games, where the Pacers think they'll only give you 1 game. But yeah, it's tough to tell so far. I just think OKC, whoever they're gonna play in the finals, I think they're going to beat, unless Shai has like a stinker in the finals. But I just, the confidence he plays with so far in the playoffs, like nothing has rattled him. He's had some bad games, but he quickly bounces back. It's just, I think it's going to be a pure, they'll have a 40-plus point, 35-plus point victory in the finals against whoever they play. So I'm still picking OKC. Pacers, if they play the Pacers, OKC in 5. If they play the Knicks, OKC in 6. That's all I have for today's episode. Actually, we'll do a quick Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I think if the Pacers win it, it could be a toss-up between Siakam and Haliburton. Obviously, I think that Game 4 will really put Haliburton above Siakam, but Siakam has been just as good as Haliburton throughout this conference finals. Would love to get him some sort of love. He's one of those guys where I hope he doesn't get lost in history, because he is so good, but he's just never been like the best player on a good team. But he's just one of the best second options, one of the best guys you could just have as a supporting star next to a superstar. But I think Haliburton will win it if the Pacers win. I think JB will win it if the Knicks win it. It's pretty easy, but I can maybe see Cat winning it if he has an amazing final 2 games. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to Beyond the Scoreboard presented by RDSE. Stay tuned. We have a Lakers offseason guide coming sometime in the next couple of days. Hope you guys enjoyed the Spurs one with my boy Eric from back home. And, yeah, got another guest on for the Lakers offseason guide. More of a LeBron fan than a Lakers fan, but he's got a good basketball mind, and happy to see that he'll be able to join the show. So keep your eyes out for that. Again, this has been Beyond the Scoreboard presented by RDSC, and I'm your host, Michael Lyons, and we got one more show next week. Thank you, guys.